Plato never wrote those words, but if you strip his philosophy bare, you'll find a truth most men spend their lives running from. Men love to claim they understand women. But here's the brutal irony. They don't even understand themselves. Plato knew this. He didn't waste time teaching men how to win women. He went deeper. He exposed the real disease, a man's blindness to the forces controlling his own mind. Long before men chased beauty, before they bowed to the whisper of a woman's approval, Plato diagnosed the problem. An untrained mind is a playground for deception. Remember the allegory of the cave? Prisoners chained in darkness, mistaking shadows for reality. They worship illusions. They build their lives on lies. But here's what Plato doesn't say outright, what most men refuse to see. The most intoxicating shadow cast on a man's mind isn't politics or power, it's woman. Not woman as she is. Woman as an idea, a projection, a fantasy, a mirror for his own hunger. Plato warned, people will fight to keep their illusions. And no illusion is more seductive than the belief that women are innocent, pure, incapable of manipulation. This is where men lose themselves. She smiles, he calls it love. She cries, he calls it sincerity. She touches his hand, he calls it destiny. Plato would laugh, because this isn't romance. This is a prisoner choosing the shadows. True knowledge begins when you admit you know nothing. But how many men define woman by what she shows, not what she is? How many study feminine influence like they study war, money, or power? None. And that's why women dominate men without trying. She doesn't need to conspire. She doesn't need to plot. She only has to exist as a mirror to your ignorance. Plato's brutal punchline. The worst deception? Self-deception. Men lie to themselves. They call obsession love. They call neediness devotion. They call slavery passion. But the chains aren't on their wrists. They're wrapped around their minds. The war inside a man's soul. Plato didn't just warn men about women. He warned them about themselves, about the beast inside them that wants to be controlled. In Phaedrus, Plato describes a soul as a chariot pulled by two horses. One noble, hungry for truth, discipline, mastery. One wild, addicted to pleasure, beauty, validation. The man? He's the driver. Weak, untrained, losing the battle every time. A woman walks into the room. The wild horse snaps the reins. Her laugh? A drug. Her touch? A fire. Her attention? A leash. And the driver, the real you? You don't resist. You don't question. You let it drag you. You call this love. Plato called it spiritual slavery. In Symposium, Plato says love is a madness sent by the gods. A beautiful curse. It blinds men, consumes them, makes them worship the image of beauty, not the truth behind it. A divine madness, he says. But madness is still madness. And if you don't master it, you're not a lover. You're a slave. Women know this. Not because they're evil. Not because they scheme. But because you revealed it. Every time you chase her when she pulls away. Beg for her approval. Trade your mission for her smile. You prove Plato right. She doesn't make you weak. She exposes the weakness already in you. Plato feared one thing more than war, the corruption of the soul. He warned, men who can't rule themselves will be ruled by others. And who rules a weak man better than a woman who knows he craves her validation? She doesn't need to argue. She doesn't need to fight. She only needs to flatter. And you kneel. This isn't about her. It's about you. Every time you bend your values to keep her, silence your truth to please her, sacrifice your purpose for her emotions, you're not loving her, you're betraying yourself. How weak men build weak worlds. Plato didn't just predict the fall of men. He predicted the fall of empires. And right now, you're watching it happen. In the Republic, Plato warned, when pleasure rules over discipline, cities crumble. Look around. Leaders apologize instead of lead. Men beg for approval instead of earning respect. Culture rewards weakness and calls it progress. This isn't evolution, it's surrender. The chains aren't on your wrists anymore. They're in your mind. You've traded truth for trends, honor for hashtags, mission for memes. And women? They're not the enemy. They're just the mirror showing you what you've become. Plato saw this coming 2,400 years ago. Weak men don't just destroy themselves. They destroy families, cheating for validation, careers, sacrificing ambition for affection, civilizations, prioritizing comfort over conquest. Why? Because an undisciplined man is a weapon, turned against himself. Imagine a man crawling through the desert. A woman stands over him, holding water. He begs. He negotiates. He sells his dignity for a single sip. Here's the tragedy. He once had a well, but he abandoned it to chase her mirage. The societal collapse. History doesn't repeat. Men do. Athens fell when philosophers were replaced by flatterers. Rome fell when discipline was mocked as backwards. Now, you're told. Vulnerability means surrendering power. Equality means apologizing for your nature. Love means worshiping her feelings over your purpose. Plato called this the rule of the appetites. And appetites always consume their host. But there's a way out. Not by hating women. Not by rejecting love. By doing what Plato actually taught. Define your terms. Is this love or addiction? Rule your horses. Let reason lead, not hunger. Build your well, so no one controls your thirst. Weak men build weak worlds. But you don't have to be weak. The Unchained Man. There's a reason Plato's philosophers escaped the cave, while others died staring at shadows. They learned the one skill that changes everything. The prisoners could have left anytime. The chains weren't locked. The cave mouth stood open. So why did they stay? Because light burns before it reveals. Truth wounds before it heals. And most men would rather kneel in comfortable darkness than stand in painful light. Plato's cure wasn't complex. Just know thyself. But most men hear this and nod, then spend their lives studying her moods instead of their motives. Ask yourself right now, do I chase her or the feeling she gives me? Do I want the woman or the validation she represents? This isn't semantics. It's the difference between freedom and slavery. In the Laws, Plato wrote, "Victory over oneself is the first and noblest of all victories." Concrete steps. Name your hunger. Is it sex? Status? Emotional rescue? Starve the wild horse. No contact? No porn? No orbit. Feed the noble one. Lift. Read. Build. Suffer voluntarily. This isn't about winning. It's about ceasing to lose. Next time she flirts then pulls away. Test your boundaries. Accidentally, text or X. Don't react. Observe. That rage? That ache? That need to prove yourself? That's not her power. That's your weakness, finally visible. Plato's students didn't resist temptation by willpower alone. They redefined victory. Normal men think, if I get her, I win. Philosophers know, if I need her, I've already lost. You stand at the cave mouth right now. One choice. Stay and keep calling shadows love. Leave and let the light burn away your illusions. Plato warns, the unexamined life isn't worth living. But the examined life? That's where gods are forged. The return to light. Plato's freed prisoner did the unthinkable. He went back into the cave. Not to rejoin the chains. To break them. Most men never grasp the real lesson of the cave. The philosopher who escapes doesn't stay gone. He returns not to beg others to see, but to live so brightly that the shadows can't compete. When you stop, needing her validation, fearing her withdrawal, bargaining for her attention, something terrifying happens. She starts watching you, not because you're chasing, because you've become the fire she can't look away from. Women don't want weak men. They settle for them. Plato knew this. The soul instinctively reaches for what is above it. When you lead instead of plead, create instead of consume, choose purpose over panic, you're not rejecting love. You're upgrading it. One unchained man changes. His family, sons see strength, daughters see standards. His work, clarity, office politics. His world builds instead of complains. This isn't theory. History's greatest men all followed this pattern. Mastered their hunger. Became undeniable. Dragged civilization forward. Right now you have two options. 1. Keep calling shadows real, while she pities your devotion. 2. Burn so bright she questions her illusions. Plato's last secret. The sun doesn't convince the prisoners. It blinds them into truth. This isn't about getting her. It's about deserving your life. The cave mouth is open. The chains were never locked. All that's left? To walk, and let your fire light the way. This completes the arc. 1. Exposed the illusion. 2. Revealed the war within. 3. Showed societal cost. 4. Gave an escape plan. 5. Delivered ultimate payoff. The cave is still there. The chains are still loose. The shadows still dance. But now, you've seen the fire. Like this? Smash the like button. Need more truth? Subscribe now. Know a prisoner? Share this immediately. Because the world doesn't need more men staring at shadows. It needs men who carry the light. Drop a comment below. I'm unchained. And start acting like it.